Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Seneca Rocks. My name is Ryan. I'm the host of the Chip Over the Top Rugby podcast. And you might be wondering, Ryan, why the fuck are you standing in West Virginia, Seneca Rocks, doing a podcast on rugby? Well, I bet you this has never been done before. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Seneca Rocks. I've just hiked there. There's a river over there that I just went swimming in. And today I want to talk about Wales v Fiji, because guess what? It is Sunday, September 3rd, and the World Cup starts in 5 days. New Zealand kicking off against France, the host nation. That's going to be a blockbuster, just like this view. And what is also going to be a blockbuster, and which is what I want to talk about today, is Wales v Fiji. Now, before I head back to the studio with future Ryan, I just want you to take in this absolutely picturesque view. And I bet you a rugby podcast will never ever be recorded, the intro here, ever again. So we are breaking ground, breaking the mold, ladies and gentlemen. Seneca Rocks, West Virginia, what an incredible place. So it's time we head back to the studio with future Ryan to discuss his 23 matchday squad to take on Fiji on Sunday in Bordeaux, Wales' opening game against Fiji, and also a look ahead and a discussion of how Wales can indeed beat the Flying Fijians, because it's going to be an uphill task. For the first time, Fiji are top ranked in their group, in front of Wales, Australia and Georgia, and then don't forget Portugal's in the same group as well. So it's going to be an interesting one. How can Wales beat Flying Fijians in the opening game? We're going to discuss that, and we're also going to discuss my starting 23 against Fiji, because I think there could be a few surprises in store and possibly things that I would like to see in order to overcome the physicality of Fiji. So with that being said, to you, Ryan, in the future, back in the studio. Diolch Yn Fawr. Ladies and gents, I am future Ryan, and this is the Chip Over the Top podcast. We are back in the studio to discuss, as past Ryan said, Wales against Fiji, my starting 15. I've left the bench blank because I still don't quite know yet, and I'm still on the fence about this starting 15 as well. But before we get into this, make sure you give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed the intro. I thought that was pretty cool. I don't think a rugby podcast will ever be done ever again in Seneca Rocks, which is in West Virginia. And make sure you hit subscribe, because we have lots more content to come as we roll into the World Cup. Because as we know, it is starting this week with Wales against Fiji on Sunday in Bordeaux for Wales. But obviously it does start on Thursday with an absolute blockbuster. I say blockbuster. It's not Thursday, is it? It's the 8th. Tuesday the 5th. Wednesday the 6th. Thursday the 7th. Friday. This Friday, ladies and gentlemen, yes, I'm going to keep that in. This Friday, France against New Zealand, and then a blockbuster weekend of rugby. And the one that I'm looking forward to the most, Wales v Fiji, because it is a must-win, as we know, for Wales in this World Cup. So, without further ado, let's get into my starting 15. Now, quick sip of the old Monster beverage, you know. How cool would it be for Monster to sponsor this podcast? It will never happen, obviously, but there we go. Okay. Now, this is on the presumption that everybody is fit and healthy, right? That is good to go. Everybody's had full training, back in training now, because the boys just arrived in France. There's a bunch of videos circling with the boys arriving at the hotel, singing Calon Lan. Dan Bigger giving a welcome speech in French, which I think is pretty cool, but obviously he's playing over in France, so that's expected that he knows a bit of French. Français, shall we say. So, interesting selection option here. And I left the bench blank on purpose because I was crossing off names left, right, and centre. And so this is the team that I think Wales need to pick, with a couple of question marks, and I'm going to put them where I think those question marks are. I think we have one here, and then we have one over here, and that's it. And maybe here too, actually. And they're question marks based on whether they're good to go or is this the style of rugby we want to play? Because Wales against Fiji is going to be a very physical game. It's the first game. Fiji are going into this group as favourites based on their world rankings. They are 7th. And then we have Australia, Wales, Georgia, and Portugal. Let's not forget Portugal in this group as well. So it's going to be an interesting group. Wales, it's a must-win game against Fiji opening up. So this is my starting 15. Let's go over it, and then we're going to dive into how Wales can beat the flying Fijians in their opening game, because there are a couple of templates out there that we also are going to discuss. So front row, I've gone with Gareth Thomas, Dewi Lake, and Thomas Francis, and all Ospreys front row. Probably one of the better scrummaging front rows there's going to be, and physicality wise we have to match Fiji up front. I have a question mark over Dewi Lake. Is he fit? Would it make sense for him to come off the bench maybe and make an impact that way, and have someone like Elliot Dee or Ryan Elias, depending on which one is fitter, starting? We'll see. Second row, I've gone with Dav Jenkins and Will Rowlands, and the reason why, there's no Adam Beard, and it's not that I don't rate Adam Beard. He does the basics right, but sometimes he's also a nuisance on the field, right? Dav Jenkins is a massive line-out steal person, right? We need someone. If you watch how France beat Fiji, although it was a France B team, they beat Fiji by stealing their lineouts, attacking the lineouts, and having someone like Dav Jenkins in there who can do that is important. And on the field, he's a good ball carrier. He's a workaholic. He gets around the park. He's captain for Exeter for a reason. Will Rowlands is just an immense presence. Physicality-wise, he's a good ball carrier. When he came on and there was no Adam Beard in the second England game, the line-out was 10 times better. 10 times better. So I think that's a front five that Warren Gatland might be looking at. And then the back rows, this is where it gets a lot more challenging. And I have question mark. I think Jack Morgan's nailed on, right? He's captain here. He is captain, right, on the day. Obviously, co-captains, I get it. And then I personally think Tane Basham, although not as big as someone like Dan Lydia, deserves his start, because when he came off the bench, and this is where you could argue we should just keep him on the bench and maybe go with someone like either Dan Lydia or Aaron Wainwright. When he came off the bench, he was excellent. So I think he's deserving of a start. He's athletic. He gets around the park. He can move. He's a good athlete. He's a good ball carrier. And he's good in the ruck situation. And Wales are going to have to play quick ball in order to overcome the flying Fijians. So, and then at number 8, if Faletau is fully fit, fully healthy, he is one of our best forwards, right? So you have to start him, which is unfortunate for Aaron Wainwright. But if Faletau does start, do you move Wainwright to blindside and then have Basham come off the bench to cover the back row? That is a question of the day. But we also know that Aaron Wainwright can cover the back row. So does it make sense to have someone like Wainwright on the bench and then come on if there's an injury or we just need to up the physicality a little bit during the second half? Let me know your thoughts on the front, the forward pack. Obviously, there are a couple question marks here and here, but I think overall that is the squad that I would like. Some people would probably argue that you'd want Chunza in there maybe, but I haven't seen enough of him yet, and I think his good spot would be coming off the bench, again, as a second row, also back row option, so that gives you two back row players that you can bring on in the second half. Question marks, right? Up in the air for debate. Moving in into the backs, I've gone with Gareth Davis as 9. It was a toss-up really between him and Thomas Williams. I think the way that Wales need to play, quick ball, quick tempo, I think Gareth Davis adds a little bit more than Thomas Williams. Thomas Williams is someone who's come on and adds a bit more structure to the game and kind of, I think he's a little bit more accurate in the box kick department, but from an attacking standpoint, quick ball, physicality-wise, I think we need Gareth Davis on to start. I think you go with Dan Biggar as the fly half option. That's a no-brainer, really. His experience, his on the field, like in his interview with Scrum 5, he fights for every blade of grass, and you need that. You're going to need that in a game against Fiji. Now, here's where it gets a little bit more interesting for me, because we know the physicality that Fiji are going to bring in the backs. Tuisova, Radradra, just to name 2. I think our in-form inside centre, now you could argue Nick Tompkins here, maybe a more all-round defender, but I'm thinking physical. We need someone physical, and Johnny Williams is your all-round inside centre. He's probably our best inside centre in Wales. You could obviously argue that all day if you wanted with Max Llewellyn, but he's off to Gloucester. But Johnny Williams adds everything, and I think he's going to start at 12. And then here's where it gets interesting for me, because Mason Grady and George North can both play on the wing, and now whoever's over here is going to be lining up against Tuisova. And we saw what he did against Josh Adams. That is why I haven't got Josh Adams in the squad, at least in the starting 15. You could put Josh Adams in the bench maybe. But I've gone with Mason Grady at 13 and George North at 14. Don't forget, George North, world-class winger before he made the switch to 13. The only reason he made the switch to 13 was because of the Ospreys. Correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But don't forget, these both can play on the wing. They're both quick. Mason Grady's got a bit more of a step to him than George North at the moment, but they're physical. They're both 6'4", 6'5", 17 stone. So that would be a monstrous 12, 13, 14 combo. And then, obviously, the speedster, the flyer, LRZ on the other wing, because we're going to need his speed, we're going to need his pace, we're going to need his finesse in order to beat Fiji. And then at fullback, you could argue here Halfpenny coming into the game instead of Liam Williams to kick the long points. But Dan Biggar is also very good at kicking from inside, 50 meters and just outside. We've seen him do it before. So Liam Williams comes in, I think, from the high ball. His ability to just create from depth in our 22. Look what he did against England, and then which led to Tane Basham's head injury from Owen Farrell. He just stepped and gone, and we were up to the 40-meter line like that and beyond. So that is my starting 15. Let me know your thoughts below. Like I said, there's a couple question marks. Do you go Wainwright here, Tunza here? The obvious answer maybe would be Dan Lydiate from a physicality standpoint, chop tackles, bringing down some of those big boys. But again, this is based on Basham's his previous games coming off the bench. I think he's deserving of a start. And then obviously, do we have Dowie Lake come off the bench and have D or Elias starting instead? And then here's the question mark, another one, Mason Grady and George North. It's a surprise. In reality, it's probably going to be Rio Dyer and Zamet. Probably in reality. But there we go. Let me know your thoughts. Now, from a sub standpoint, I'm just throwing out names. I think the front row that you're going to bring would be, I think, Domachowski and Henry Thomas as replacement props. You're probably going to see Dylan Lewis instead of Henry Thomas, that's just how it's always been. But and from Dylan Lewis's experience, but I'm not a huge fan, and I do believe that Henry Thomas adds a little oomph in from the scrummaging standpoint. And then obviously at hooker, you're either going to have Dewi Lake or Ryan Elias or Elliot Dee, depending on which one you start and which one you don't. Then, as a hybrid back row replacements, I think you go with Chunza here, and I also think you go with a Rafael or a Basham or a Wainwright, depending on which one of those you have started. Okay, that way you have not also second row cover here, but you also have another back row cover option as well. Just depends on how Warren Gatland wants to structure it against Fiji. And then this is where it gets interesting. Do you have Sam Costello, who can cover 10 and 9? Let's not forget that. That's what Warren Gatland said. Or are you going to go typical 5-3 split? If you do that, then you're going to have Thomas Williams. You're maybe going to have Sam Costello or Gareth Anscombe, because Gareth Anscombe can play 10. He can also play in the back 3. And then do you go someone like Josh Adams out there as well as the final option? Lots to think about, lots to choose from. Leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts on this Wales 15 and some bench options. And make sure you subscribe for more content coming soon. I'm excited about this squad, personally. I really enjoy the physicality over here. Obviously speed as well. And so this brings me now into how are Wales going to beat Fiji, because there are two templates in recent memory that we can look at, and I think Warren Gatland has looked at, and then he's also, when he was at against England v Fiji, and he was in the crowd, and he saw kind of where Fiji were able to capitalize against England. This is the game plan and the game structure that we are going to need. So I watched the Crusaders against the Drua in the quarterfinal game, where the Crusaders just absolutely hammered them. And what did they do? They kicked territory. I'm going to put some clips on the screen. They kicked territory. They chased hard. Will Jordan was down their throats. This is where Zammit comes into play. This is where Liam Williams comes into play. Okay? They kicked hard. They chased hard. Also, the driving line-out worked tremendously. And this pack can do that. We know it can. Box kick and chase, accurate box kick and a hard chase. Gareth Davis, he's quick. Then we have these speedsters out here. Again, this is where you could argue Josh Adams, Rio Dyer come in, because maybe they're a little bit quicker. But who would you rather have bearing down on you? Rio Dyer or George North? Like, as a Welsh person, who would you rather be chasing down? Who would you be most scared to not come after you? Rio Dyer, so you're probably going to go with George North. Not to say Rio Dyer can't hit hard and tackle hard, but George North is a bit more of a posing figure. And this right winger is going to go up against Tuisova, most likely. Another way that the Crusaders beat the Fijian Drua were quick ball, physicality, and just hitting them hard, line defense, getting in their faces quick. And I think this squad can do that. And it was the same with France when they played Fiji. They spread the ball wide, they got it out wide quick. You get over the gain line with Johnny Williams, Mason Grady, and George North. If you get over the gain line, you get speed to the ruck, you get the ball out quick, boom, get it to Zammit or Liam Williams or one of these, and they can create something. Get the forwards over the gain line, they can create something. Quick ball, quick turnover, create something. Get it out wide, kick hard, territory. Get them, put pressure on them. Get them in their 22, see what they do. Keep it structured, but also not. Now, when Fiji played England, what was the issues? Fitness up front for England showed. Their front five fell off tackles. They weren't at the ruck situation. They weren't securing what was in front of them. They left it open in the middle. Fiji capitalized twice. They went straight through the ruck in the middle. And they just had quicker turnover. But I think Wales overall are a lot more conditioned than England. I think they're more physical. And I think, yeah, this is the squad that's going to do it. It's coming up soon. This Sunday, Wales v Fiji in Bordeaux. This is my starting 15 with a couple question marks. I've dabbled on the bench. I've said how we can beat them. Now, let's see if we can, actually. This is going to be an interesting group, ladies and gentlemen. Fiji have never gone in as favourites in the group, believe it or not, against Wales and Australia. So, here we go. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you leave a thumbs up, please. Diolch Yn Fawr, thank you very much. Make sure you hit subscribe below and also leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts on this squad. My name is Ryan. This is the Chip Over the Top podcast. Diolch Yn Fawr. Thank you very much.